Go
Hello,
for it.
hello, hello. Welcome to Fempreneur True Confessions podcast. I'm Angelique.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura, and together we are Fempreneur True Confessions podcast. And normally we do a little introduction about ourselves. We've done that a lot. We were kind of behind a little bit with technical. Oh, good God, technicals. So if I drop off, yay. But I just want to kind of get into it. We've got an amazing guest. A lot of you have heard Angelique and I are. We're really about a non-compete abundance mindset, and I'm gonna let her take over more, just in case I gotta drop. So sorry, Angelique, I love you, but I
And
think this
that's
just got weird.
okay. Just there's a full eclipse this week today. Actually, what time? Do you know?
Am I frozen? I look frozen on my side.
No,
If you can
no,
hear
you're
me,
fine.
ours is at 2.
Oh wow. So anyway, um, I'm Angelique with Lady Powerhouse Solutions, and Laura and I have been doing the podcast since last year. Well, no, year before. It's been over a year now. We started in October 2022. And today, Laura, oh, we lost Laura. Well, okay. So I am going to introduce today's guest since Laura just dropped off because Laura was going to do it. I have to pull it up. So today's guest is Leah, right? Leah?
Lee Tran.
Lee.
Yes.
Is it Lee or Leah? Remind me.
Lee Tran. Lee.
Lee. Okay, awesome. And so I love her story. In the tapestry of life's unexpected journeys, few stories resonate with the power of resilience and triumph quite like that of Lee Tran. A former boat people refugee, Lee has navigated a path marked by significant adversity to become a scientist, entrepreneur, speaker, and story coach. She has a memoir, I Did Not Miss the Boat, which offers a gripping account of her escape from Vietnam and the subsequent challenges she and her family faced, culminating in a successful life in America. Today, she is dedicated to inspiring others through her lived experiences with a focus on personal growth, mental health, and financial well being. There are one, two, three, four more paragraphs to your bio, but I want to get into talking about your story. So, one of the things we focus on in the podcast is the abundance mindset and the the fact that we don't compete with our other female entrepreneurs. And so Lee, I want you to get into your story, but one of the things that we ask is an example of when you have supported another female entrepreneur that might be considered your competition. And I loved your answer. So would you please share that story with us?
Oh, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here. I love that fempreneur because we are feminine, and I think solopreneur is pretty lonely, and having femmes over here. Funny because I used to belong to a groups called Fem City, so I mean it just remind me of that. But my story is lengthy, and even though I have my memoir out during the pandemic, that only like a quarter of my life that I'm sharing with the audience. So and I also had a TEDx talk prior to that. So my story is just like I release it bit by bit, thanks to a lot of friends and people I know that encouraging me to tell the story. And a lot of time we don't realize how abundant of a life that we come from,
Yeah.
despite of all the adversity, all the obstacles in our lives. But those are just the richness that make us who we are. And a lot of time we didn't realize or don't realize that. But once you
Mhm.
really sit down and look through your life, how much you have gone through, how much
Mhm.
you have conquered, how much you have overcome. Sometimes you are feeling like, oh my God, did I do that? Yeah,
Yeah, we forget.
yes,
We forget what we've been through.
exactly.
And then we come up against this obstacle and it's this
And we
yes, it's
always
an
look at
obstacle. It's
somebody else's
difficult.
accomplishment. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, she's so good. She did that and she did that. But hello, you've been through that too. You just don't acknowledge the things that you went through,
Yeah.
because sometimes we overlook our own ability. We overlook and we underestimate our own power.
That's it. I think that's key. We underestimate ourselves so often.
Right. And it doesn't matter from, my background as a refugee or not. People in this country born with a silver spoon still have struggle. I
Mhm.
am not the only one. It's like it doesn't matter what background you come from, you have some sort of struggle in your life. And yeah, it's like I think I was coming from a bad place, but there's people who came from a worse place than I do,
Yeah.
through a lot of things that I could not imagine. So, where are you going to compare? There's always, in my language, there's always a higher mountain. It doesn't matter
Right.
that you're in Fuji, you still have a higher mountain somewhere. You can't compare. And I love this abundant mindset, because, like, you know what, just pause and think that you are enough. You are the abundant of life. If you're willing to share that abundantness, that what you came from, I mean, that is just the sweetest thing, because if you're willing to share, somebody else willing to share, we can learn from each other. And I
Mhm.
think, life is a really great journey, knowing that, you're not alone. You're fighting things and other people, and learn from each other the mistake and the lesson that they went through and you went through. And everybody got a little bit of that richness.
So when you are dealing with, an obstacle or struggle, what is there a story or a memory that you have that you're like, you know what, uh, I went through that, and this is how I handled it, and it's prepared me for this.
Yeah. So
Are there specific memories?
it's so many, but I'm gonna give you a little brief version. So I am Chinese. I was born in Vietnam because my parents migrated from China to Vietnam as a refugee. So I live in that bubble of a Chinese community in Vietnam. So I say that I'm from Vietnam, but I can never say that I'm Vietnamese, because I'm not.
Mhm.
My root is Chinese. So we've been through struggle, not just my life, but my grandparents, my parents. So I learned from the very young age that always turn that lemon to a lemonade. And that just, when the communists took over in 1975, we were there for 4 years under the communist oppressions, trying to make another day. And then my dad knew that we wouldn't have a future if he stayed behind. So he took the guts to orchestrate an underground networking to build a boat to tug to take 502 people out to the sea. And that's why my book title is called I Did Not Miss the Boat. That boat is not just a metaphor, but is also literally the
Mhm.
story of my family, that how we get escape the communists to go to America. Now, going to America is just the beginning of the new struggle. It's not like when you find freedom and then you can just dive right in, because culture shock, no language, no money, you start up
Yeah.
pretty much from the ground up. And with my dad, 5 monkeys on his back and a wife and, a big family that he had to provide. And so I learned from that. I learned from my mom about how she adapting, and she just turned adversity into opportunity. Like when we were in the refugee camp, we had a sewing shop that we sold for refugee, and I was helping my mom. So I learned entrepreneur at the very very young age, even when
Yeah.
I was in Vietnam. But
So
I
as an
never gave myself that
entrepreneurial
credit.
spirit.
Yeah, but I never gave myself that credit. I came to
Mhm.
America and I learned, and I go to college, and I study science, and I went and I worked for a pharmaceutical company for almost 2 decades, and always shy about how can I start a business, because I know that's where my heart is, my
Mhm.
creativity, that
Mhm.
kind of like I don't feel satisfied being confined in a golden cage. It's like people's
Yes.
dream job is to work at the corporate. But after almost 2 decades, and I felt like, I really need to free myself. And again, we underestimate our own talent, our own ability.
We
But
do.
I left I left the corporate and started out my business 2006, and everybody knows what happened in 2008, right?
Right.
And I was in the decorating business for homes, and how many homes got dropped, and business just going from like rosy to plunge. And then what? I took that opportunity to go out and learn how to speak, how to network, how to get myself building relationship. And as soon as the business picked back up in 2009, 2010, my business just soared right back up. So I've learned from everything had a reason. And the pandemic, is so real
Right.
that we all still feel the sting of that pandemic. And during that time, I literally met Sarah, I have a podcast also on every Monday evening at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
My co-host is also Sarah. And I met Sarah 4 years right before the pandemic. It was a month before March. It was doing Valentine's Day. So I was out in Tampa at the National Speaker Association meeting. So
Mhm.
I call up Sarah because she lives nearby. So she came out and met me, and she showed me her book. And I say, "Oh, I'm in the process of writing my book too." So I want to meet her, and we just have, such a great spirit. We bond right away. And then during March when it's locked down, I was antsy. I was really felt like unrested. I felt like I need to do something because we've been through this. I've been through the chaotic
Yeah.
of leaving the country, of being out in the sea, getting, robbed by pirates, being in the refugee camp, all those things, they're all chaotic. And I know
Mhm.
Sarah has quite a history because she left, the killing fields, and she
Yes.
too. So I call her up. I still remember I was cooking, but I could not settle. Wait until I ate dinner. I call her while I was cooking dinner. I said, Sarah, this is so nerve wracking. We got to do something. Let's go on
Yeah.
and have a Zoom live call. And I said, are you with me? And she's like, yes. I was like, okay, let's do it. And we were still new to Zoom. We still didn't know how to do it, so we recording the Zoom. We have a bunch of people come up, and we will just say that, let's I got PTSD trigger, but I feel like my antsiness can provide some calm for me and other people by telling them that this too shall pass. This
Yes.
is a world problem. We cannot
Yeah.
control it, but we can control our own emotion by sticking together, talk to each other, and do the Zoom, because now we don't feel like we lose connection with the community.
Right.
Oh my God. Oh, my computer just went blank for a minute. I don't know what happened. It's
Well, you're still with me.
total eclipse time. So
Yes. All kinds of cool things going
I
on up
know.
here.
I mean, God is saying yes, yes. But and we did it, and we celebrated 4 years of our live stream podcast
That's
this
awesome.
year, this past March 24th. And I think it's just a beautiful thing, because I don't see Sarah as my competitor, and I don't think she does seeing me as that. We're just seeing that we come. I tell people that I come from the sea and she come from the jungle. So when the ocean meet the jungle, there's plenty of things to talk about, because that's make
Yes.
us whole, right? Because you gotta have variety. I'm not going through every trouble that you have, and you're not been through whatever path that I took. So
Right.
we have a lot of things to learn from each other, to share from each other. Why not? Why not lift each other up and be the abundant of life?
Exactly. Yes. Precisely. Now, you and Sarah both written books, and you're both speakers. And Sarah actually happens to be our guest next week. So Lee will be introducing her later, doing her bio. But so when you say you and her kind of competitors, um, not just in the speaking realm, though, right?
I don't see ever her as my competitor. I never see any speaker or author as my competitor. As a matter of fact, I love to have them on my video live stream to feature them. I like to saying that, share your surviving and how you thrive. And, I think that is a beautiful thing to learn and to share from each other. I don't really see anyone as a competitor, because what you have is yours, and I cannot pretend that I have your skill or your mindset, and vice versa. So yeah, and I think it is good. I belong to a lot of women's networking group, and I always trying to find a way to collaborate to help them. I offer help before I ask for help, and if I can't offer help, then at least be a friend, or I find connection for them. But um, that's just how I operate.
Yeah. And so one of the things that the biggest challenges you have recently, last year, your husband went through something, and that has kind of shaped how you live now, even
Yeah.
do business.
Yes, yes, and I say that adaptability is the key. When we left Vietnam, when we were still in under the communists, I see how my parents adapt all the time. You got to be a camouflage. You got to adapt to the environment that you're in. And even when we went to the refugee camp, we adapt that. I always see that we're thriving in every single stage. Now, it's not thriving as compared to a certain thing, but thriving in that environment itself. And then when I came to America, when every single step of the way, and during the pandemic, I'm thriving because I have my book baby. I gave birth to a book that I never even thought that someday I'll write a book. That's the mantra, but I never really have a timeline,
All
right?
same.
Right. So the pandemic, it was a blessing in disguise. It kind of chained me down to the chair and say that you can't go out now. What are you gonna have when you come
A
out of
lot
it?
of people wrote those books during the pandemic.
And a
A
lot of people
lot.
have babies, like real babies.
Yeah, that too.
But and then I trained to be a speaker. During that time, I took on Zoom. I completed several National Speaker Association Academy, just so I can be with learn from other speakers. And then I also trained to be a life holistic coach certified on Zoom. It's like I was really thriving in that environment, even though I couldn't go out to meet
Yeah.
people in person. But I took that, and when things cool down, and I would start going out to do speaking for real event, for in-person event, and then boom, my husband get hit by a stroke last year on his birthday. He was really healthy, vibrant, no indication of anything, and just life. It just throw you curveball all the time. And he
Mhm.
had the stroke, and then that really made me reevaluate what am if I'm going to speak. What am I going to speak the most impactful, the most profound thing, that a solution to help other people. So based on what I went through with my husband, I re-examine that our financial status is not as stable as I thought it would be. So I took the time to learn about life insurance, and to certify, to license, and to learn everything I could. Now I'm speaking with the purpose to help women how to prepare themselves, so when things happen, they're not scrambling and be in fear, panic, and have anxiety, and that can take a lot of toll, because we
Yes.
all need protection.
My brother passed a few months ago in January,
I'm sorry.
and his wife is, of course, dealing with all of that. Has been dealing with all of that. Trying to sell off their home, their vehicle, and things like that, and dealing with insurances and all the stuff, you know.
So
And I think that this is a really important thing that you're doing for women,
thank you for
saying, look, you need to be prepared.
right.
There are a lot of people. I remember Katharine Hepburn. I remember there was a talk show host, I can't remember her name right now, that said, if you do anything, have independent your money independent of your spouse, so that God forbid anything happens, it all doesn't get locked up in probate, and you
And
have
you lose a
no
lot of
legal
tax.
assets.
Right. But not what I really advocate for is not when the person die and then you see the money or you see the compensation, you see the benefit. But when my husband is still alive
Mhm.
and recovering, that's when we need money even more, because I don't care about the death benefit. I'm caring about the living benefit. And I
Yeah.
didn't know that that's the type of insurance out there that will protect you when you have heart attack, stroke, cancer. You can claim those death benefit accelerated, and use that money to recover, to heal. There's so many other things in the benefit of life insurance that people don't understand. And all we think is about, the traditional type of life insurance that where you have to die in order to tap
Yeah.
into that. But this is open a whole new world, new skies to me. And I'm so excited that I not only found a solution for my family, but now I can actually teach women out there how to protect themselves. And I said that.
Love that you took a situation where you're like, there's a need for this, and you're passionate about it, and said, you know what, I'm going to share this information. I'm going to share what I've learned so that other women, and that is the whole point, is yes, we have a story, but we also have all of this wonderful experience and knowledge and expertise,
Yes.
and we aren't talking to each other about how great we are, so we don't know. We're not tooting our own horn enough. It's that thing where you were saying we don't recognize and acknowledge the the value that we have as individuals,
Right.
as women, and not just a mom, a partner, a sister, or whatever.
And I think a lot of time, um, people shy away because the issue can be, it's complex. They don't have time to understand it, so they shuffle away, or fear.
Mhm.
So when I start facing all those questions, life insurance is something that people think that I have to spend money and I don't need it. Yes, everybody need it, because at the end of the day, everybody gonna come out and go back in the same way. And
Mhm.
instead of um, worry about how you recover, you actually have a cushion that when you fall off, you have
Yes.
something that you can base on.
You're right. There's a gap. People don't think about living benefits versus death benefits,
Exactly.
and uh, how often that is needed.
And what I'm saying is, sometimes it take a little time to prepare, but you don't have to do the repair work later. You
Yes.
better prepare instead of
Yes.
repair, because the repair works is always 10 times harder than the
Mhm.
repair work. And
Proactive is always more beneficial than being reactive.
exactly. And
When
I
is it ever not a better outcome?
exactly. And I
Yeah.
think knowledge is powerful, but
Mhm.
knowledge is not as powerful until you are actually doing something about it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
for me to teach is to learn twice, three times. Every time I teach, I learn a little
Oh,
more.
I love that. I
So
love that.
instead of just going find a policy for myself, and I will stop learning, because but because people come with many different situations, and if I help a person with a different situation, I learn more about that, and I can go out and teach other people what the
Mhm.
scenario that they can do, should do, or avoid, so they can actually have a better protection.
Yeah.
and for,
Absolutely.
and for me, I mean, at this stage in my life, I really hope that that's something I do with an impact, with some sort of legacy when I'm no
Yeah.
longer on this earth, and people say, oh, thanks to Lee who bring me that knowledge, and now I can go longer than I expected to, or I don't know. I just want to feel like whatever I've go through is not going to go through in
Right. We all want to leave a legacy and feel like we've made an impact in the world, right? Like
right.
that there's something that lives on past not just our children, but us. And Yeah. So thank you so much for being with us today. I know Laura had to drop off, but um, even through all the technical difficulties, we still pushed through. We were
Well,
still,
I have to say that I thank you for the audience who's hanging around because yes, we've been having a little difficulty for almost half an hour to get on off on off on off,
yeah.
but then it's a total eclipse. And I know last week you're supposed to have Sarah, and it was a April Fool jokes that you guys didn't get on. So she's supposed to go before me, and it turned out I'm going before her. So
You know what? That's perfect. I did realize though that we forgot to send you the bio that we normally send to the the guest to introduce the next guest, right? So that's something we like to do. So if you want to go ahead and introduce Sarah as for next week for our as our guest, you can just like off the cuff just tell us about her,
I'm
or I can
really
read
good
the
off
bio.
the cuff. I'm actually better off the cuff than prepared because somehow I'm speaking from the heart and from the whatever in here. And yeah, Sarah has been a really great friend, a great co-host that I have the honor to be with her for the past 4 years. Like I said, the first year it was almost Monday through Friday every day, and then the second year is like we shrank it down to Monday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that. And then the third year we did it just 2 days a week, and now last year and this year we start doing one day a week. So if anyone have a beautiful thriving story, we would love you to come on to our podcast. It's called From Surviving to Thriving, and share your story. And Sarah was the war survivor. She and I very parallel in our route because Khmer Rouge and Vietnamese communists kind of like happened at the same time in 1975, and
Mhm.
we both stayed with the communists, and she was detained as the prisoner of the killing fields and doing a lot of labor camp because she was away from her family in college, and she got trapped into the field. Um, so I was growing up. So Sarah is a few years older, and she was in college at that time. I was still, in high school in Vietnam, but we both left Vietnam about the same time. She left Cambodia. I
Oh,
left
yeah.
Vietnam. Yeah. So our path was parallel, but never crossed until we came to America in Tampa. A colleague from the National Speaker Association listening to my story, and he passed me a little note like, "You need to meet this woman named Sarah," and the
Uh,
rest was history. The rest is history.
Yes. So she's also the founder and director of Christian Professionals Network of Tampa Bay. I forgot to mention to you, I'm just north of you in Hernando County. Yeah. So I'm in Spring Hill, Brooksville
I
area.
am in Claremont. I don't know how
Oh
far.
my gosh, I love Claremont. They have the cutest little bookstore.
Oh gosh, yeah, we should do coffee.
And there's a little restaurant there
There's
too.
so many restaurants, so
Oh
many
my gosh.
new.
Okay, we'll get together. But I also wanted to make sure that people know that you have a free resource on your website.
Yes, yes, thank you. I do have a lot of brochure about what is living benefit, who needs life insurance, and I'm open to have a dialogue. I go out and do workshop, and I would want to educate women about how to take care of themselves. There's no pressure. There's no anything. I am just giving information, and you take that information and do anything with that. And if you want further help, then I will be there to help. But right now, my mission is to make impact for a lot of women out there who does not know that they can be protected.
Absolutely. And so we'll drop the links for all of Lee's information. You can go get her free resources from her website. We'll leave a link for that. And book a free call with her and have a conversation. It's free. It doesn't cost anything but a little bit of your time, and it could change your life.
Absolutely.
So highly encourage you to reach out and
Yeah.
connect with Lee. And
The link
Lee,
is very easy. Just Lee Tran, 7 letter, leetran.com.
yes, just like her name, leatran.com. And have you heard of Hearts and Heels in Tampa?
Uh,
It's a women's networking businesses.
yeah, no.
Okay, we'll have to connect and go because I've heard great things about it, and they're expanding into Hernando County, and I'm super excited. So I'm also giving a plug for them here. I've gone to one meeting, and it just sounds awesome. And I was looking for something like that in the area. So anyway, all right. So next week is going to be Sarah M, and we're going to get to hear her awesome story. Please go out, check out leetran.com, connect with her. And again, Lee, thank you so much for your time. And we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful summer. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet both you and Lori. And may the total eclipse be beautiful and then done with all the glitches in the technology computer world.
Like, I can't wait for it to be over. I mean, it's cool and everything, but
I have a podcast at 5 o'clock, so hopefully it's already way past, and we're okay for today's. So thank you again for having me.
yeah, you're welcome. All right. So we'll see you guys next week, Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live, and you can always catch the replay. Bye.